Hi, I'm Bob Nystrom.
Hi, this is Bo Dietl.
Hey, this is Rich Big Daddy Salgado.
Hi, this is Doc Goodney, and you're watching Sports Biz.
Sports Biz.
Sports Biz with LD. Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.
Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis. Brought to you by the Rampart Group Insurance. For all your insurance needs, rampartgroupinsurance.com. Also, 388 Restaurant and Lounge. 388 Willis Avenue, Roslyn, New York. A1 VIP Entertainment for all your tickets and meet and greet needs. And our newest sponsor, Easy Pawn, PAWN Corp. If you need money, don't need money, have something that just doesn't matter, easypawn.com with 15 locations throughout the city, give you cash on hand. You can always find me, sportsbizwithld.com. You can go to the Facebook, Sports Biz with LD, and of course, you can tweet me, Sports Biz with LD. And of course, we got to thank the Daily Blue, because without whom you would not see us. To my right is my co-host for today, Ryan. How are you? From La Piazza, manager of one of their locations. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Every day is a good day. Some quality time with LD, as I like to call it.
You know, something I liked it. That's probably why I brought you on the show. Let's get right into it. I mean, it is all about Ray Rice. And you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been on this from a month ago. And there is no better man to bring on except the reputation doctor himself, Mike Paul. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Glad to be here, man.
I'm glad to have you.
It's all Ray Rice all the time right now.
Exactly right. It's Ray Rice all the time. So let's get right into it. I mean, Mike, first thing is, you don't have to name names. Has anyone from the Ravens, from the NFL, as they should have done, reached out to you to represent them?
I really can't get into that, but I'm more than happy to talk about other issues. Got to answer it that way. How about you say that?
No problem. That's what I love. You always got to make sure no one knows who your clients are. You know, let's get right into it right from the top. I mean, Steve Bisciotti, he's the owner. I mean, the other day when it broke that they found the tape and they decided to suspend Ray Rice indefinitely, you know, take him off the team, I believe that they threw the head coach, John Harbaugh, under the bus by making him face the media. My thought process was, where's Steve Bisciotti? Where's Ozzie Newsome? If you were helping the Ravens out, who is the point person for that team?
Well, obviously, it always goes to the top, and the owner has the biggest responsibility, no differently than the commissioner has the biggest responsibility dealing with it from a league perspective. But I don't even think that's the bigger issue. The bigger issue isn't who was the person in charge at the time. The bigger issue is that people don't understand that this is not a sports issue. This is not a league issue. This is not a sponsorship issue. This isn't even a sports business money issue. This is a moral issue. And when you hear that another man has punched a woman and knocked her out, even if you didn't know that she was knocked out, that she was punched in the face, instead of leaning on the court of law, instead of leaning on the protections for the league, the first thing that any man should say is, that's an abomination, it will not be tolerated, we can't have anyone that does that in the league. Period. End of story.
Correct. So let's get to the video. You know, now all the stories are coming out, Mike, that Ray Rice says that when he was in the commissioner's office, he told the commissioner, and he's also told his GM, Ozzie Newsome, he's saying exactly what happened, that he did punch her and knock her to the ground, and ends up she was unconscious. So at that particular time, you're basically saying both of them should have suspended him or cut him right then and there?
Well, there's so much here. By the way, Ray Rice is not my client.
Yeah.
He did a whole lot wrong. There's a lot that I do not like him for. Don't get me wrong. But to own what you did is a big deal. And if the league were my client, what I'd be telling them is, guys, you know this. The cover-up is always worse than the crime. What are you doing? What are you doing? And by the way, I believe, my prediction is, we're not only going to find out a lot more about what actually happened and what the commissioner or what his deputies knew at the time, going back not just to May, but to February. But we're going to hear maybe some favoritism that even happened with the court of law, and that's going to be a problem.
Oh, that's not even a question. It seems, Mike, that whenever there's celebrities and athletes, and we're speaking to Mike Pohl, the reputation doctor, whenever it's celebrities, athletes, movie stars, whatever, there is always that extra from law enforcement. You're right. That 3 weeks ago, I had a criminal defense attorney on the show because I was thinking that then, that how did he get no jail time? But you go into this, and you get to Roger Goodell, and Roger said on TV the other day, and of course doesn't take questions. I love that, when they handpick somebody and they don't take any questions. When, listen, you're the commissioner, you're supposed to stand in front of everybody and take questions. And he said that he did not know. Now, in the NHL, how it works there is they have a VP who doles out suspensions and all this kind of stuff. So it really doesn't get to Commissioner Bettman, the NHL commissioner's way. But in the NFL, Mike, we all know he's judge and jury. So even if it does come out, in my opinion, that he never saw the video and did not know, one, I cannot believe that since he's the judge and jury. And two, he'll have to be fired.
Well, I spoke yesterday to an attorney who works for the state of New Jersey. And he said to me, Mike, this is a PR thing. This is a PR thing. The prosecutor had the right to make the decision he did on Ray Rice. And I said, you're absolutely right. The prosecutor did have the right to make the decision he made on Ray Rice. And you're absolutely right. The commissioner had the right to make the decision he made on Ray Rice. And I'll even take it further than that. We live in America. Ray Rice also had the right or the opportunity to hit somebody, including knock them out. Here's the difference. There's a consequence for those decisions.
Right.
And the public opinion, which most attorneys don't like to hear, because their egos don't allow them to hear it, quite frankly, is there are things that are bigger than the law in this country. There are things that are bigger than the law. And those things deal with morality. We've had almost a half a year of racial stories that are bleeding on page one in this country. And now we have domestic violence issues that are bleeding on page one, because those two issues, they had law enforcement involved, they had right or wrong involved, they rise above those issues, those are moral issues, those societal issues. And until we get a grasp of that, especially the legal community, and understanding not only that, but that everybody today is a potential investigative reporter because of that smartphone that they have in their hand, or an HD camera, or a better camera that's sitting in an elevator, the technology that allows us to see what other people would have hoped was private. There is no privacy anymore.
Right.
Privacy is dead.
Well, the other surprising thing, Mike, is you bring up the investigative reporting. What I'm surprised about from that side, which really has nothing to do with it, but you brought it up, is how did nobody get all this stuff? For 6 months, with all the investigative reporting that goes on in this world, TMZ only got, and TMZ's the best, but TMZ only got the video of him dragging her out of the elevator, and just a couple of days ago, they got the rest of the video. It just seems to me with investigative reporting, no one got all this other information from anyone.
Well, not only that, for anyone to believe, and I've done a lot of business with the NFL, I continue to do business with the NFL. I was just down at the NFL offices yesterday. But they listen because they understand that I've worked on a lot of these cases, and I'm only going to lean towards the truth. For anyone anyone to believe, I already told people within the NFL, if you believe that there's a perception that people don't understand that former FBI agents work here, as in work for the security department of the NFL at the highest level, guys that have 25, 30 years experience with the FBI, former NYPD, they even go beyond that. They've got DEA, they've got CIA, they've got some major guys that work for the NFL, okay? My firm alone hires private investigators every day. First, as soon as the story broke, one of my former FBI agents that does work for me said, look, if you needed that tape, I could have had it to you within a couple of hours.
Right.
Who is believing this nonsense?
Right.
Who is believing this nonsense? So if you're trying to avoid seeing it, that's a different issue. But you have a moral obligation to have seen it. You have a moral obligation to have made the right decision upon seeing it. And the speed in which you should have done it should have been in the same month of February. And that's why this story continues in the news.
And, you know, I'll tell you another thing that bothers me, Mike, is Steve Bisciotti, the owner. I saw his interview the other day from some TV station in Maryland, you know, where his team is. And the woman asked him point blank, if you saw this video right away, what would you have done? And, you know, it shocked me, Mike. He immediately did not say, I would have suspended him. He never even said that. He was just like, well, you know, we would. I'm saying to myself, are you crazy? How can that guy say that? And I'm surprised no one's saying anything.
I saw that interview. I saw that interview, and
right.
I tell you, there's two points that I have to his opinion. Number one, he was honest. We didn't like what he said, but the owner was honest. He said, hey, look what I would have done immediately. I would have probably thought, how do I best protect my guy? How do I best protect my team? What is the quickest? He was honest. He was honest. But what he should have added to that is, but what I've learned as a man today is that the way in which I was analyzing it, the minute I heard this story, because I think of my players as my kids, people can understand that. But what I've learned today is there is no human being, especially no man, and this is a male-female issue in this particular example, who hears that a woman has been hit and spit on and knocked out, that this rises above the game.
Right.
That's the answer. There is no other answer.
Right. There is no other answer. So let's get to her comments, Mike, okay, where I'll read a little bit of what she said, and I'm sure you saw it, but in case our audience doesn't know, she wrote the next day on her Instagram account after the video was out there. And again, she was in the video, so she knew what really happened. She wrote, I woke up this morning feeling like I had a horrible nightmare, feeling like I'm mourning the death of my closest friend. But to have to accept the fact that its reality is a nightmare onto itself. No one knows the pain that the media, what else is new, Mike? Unwanted options from the public has caused my family. To make us relive a moment in our lives that we regret every day is a horrible thing. To take something away from the man I love that has worked his ass off for his life just to gain ratings is horrific. In caps, this is our life. Why don't you get it? If your intentions were to hurt us, embarrass us, make us feel alone, take all happiness away, you've succeeded on so many levels. Just know we will continue to grow and show the world what love really is. Ravens Nation, we love you. You know, Mike, my first thought process is, of course, everybody blames the media. I got that. That's just the norm. The second is Janae Rice not really realizing that it's her husband who did all this?
Well, no, and I think we have to be careful not to re-victimize the victim here. Over the years, I've done a lot with domestic violence organizations, and I've become educated as to how to best handle this from a female perspective. We've heard Robin Givens just yesterday and the day before talk about her tragedy of what Mike Tyson did to her and why she didn't leave. We've seen many wife, the first thing that I would be telling him is this isn't about football. The root of this crisis is that you have some serious anger management issues, and they go beyond just normal anger management, which in itself is very bad. This is domestic violence at the highest degree, and you need help. And if the players union, who I've also talked to about this, I have friends that are there as well, were doing what's best for their player. What's best for their players, not to be back in the field. What's best for their players, to not protect the salary. What's best for their player is to get him the help that he needs because he's sick.
Correct.
He is sick. So I'd be very sensitive in saying this, but his wife also has made some bad decisions here herself, including initially being attracted to a man like this who has that kind of behavior. And as a result, she is not analyzing it properly because it's in the midst of the storm and doesn't understand some of the mistakes she made herself, which are really surrounding not what she did in the incident. That's not where I'm focused. Where I'm focused is how do you end up with a man like this in the first place? And when you're in a relationship with a man like this now, what's best for you and your health and your family? That's the critical issues. So as people are talking about wearing a number, or people are talking about, whether you should have played last night or came back, none of those issues would I'd be talking about with my client if I were sitting down with them as this broke. It would be, how can I get you the best help you need, and how can I get you to trust me to understand that that's the best solution for you and your family?
That's Mike Paul, the reputation doctor. I got to tell you, I hope you don't need him because that means you got a problem. But from a business standpoint, for my buddy Mike, I hope some people do need him. We'll call him. Mike Paul, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you if they need you.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Reputation PR or Reputation Doctor. And online, you can reach me at reputationdoctorfullyspelledout.com.
Mike, thank you very much. I know you've been on a whirlwind tour, not in a good way, but this is what you do for a living. For you to take time out to come on Sports Biz with LD, man, it's appreciated.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Sometimes you're giving advice and you're getting paid for it. Sometimes you have an opportunity to share with the public what is the right thing that you've done here. Let me end by saying any man who believes that he has a problem with this issue as well, there are confidential numbers you can call dealing with domestic violence to get the help you need. Because if you ever raise your hand to a woman, everybody knows it's wrong. You should not be surrounded by people who are enabling you or yes people. You need to get the help you need because you're sick.
100% right. Mike, thank you very much.
You're welcome, buddy.
Okay. Mike Paul. Ryan, that's the guy.
It's the truth. Everything he said, I could just stray away from the fact. It's an issue that's grown over the last year. And like I said, if they would have addressed it in the first place, honestly, with the public, I think the issue would have been dead already.
Could be, right. Hopefully he will be on some sort of road to recovery. The other interesting thing, because there's so much stuff coming out, is that I read that teammates have said when he drinks, here we go. Yeah. That he's, not I'm going to say maybe has a drinking problem, because I've read just today, or they're probably today, that teammates have said anonymously, when he drinks, he's another person. And he admitted that, one, he does have a drinking problem. He stops drinking, but then I heard also he's just going to drink wine. I don't know what that means. You're either in or you're out.
Exactly.
And then the other thing is that him and his wife do admit they were drinking that night.
We weren't in that elevator. The two of you guys weren't. Nobody was in that casino. Who knows? Maybe he lost a lot of money in the casino. She was upset about. Listen, there's no excuse. My mother, the first thing my mother ever taught me was, you treat every woman like she's your own mother. You never raise a hand to it. That's an outside issue. But the way this whole thing has been handled, it's sad that a guy like this has to hit rock bottom in the public eye to really see that he needs help. And you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, I need help.
Some rock bottom's a word because they took his jersey down in New Rochelle High School, his stuff down at Rutgers, so you're right. He's a rock bottom. Let's hope he gets the help he needs. This will not end. There's so much more to talk about, but I want to move on because I got you on the show. I want to talk about your passion. It's
a little blunt.
Let's talk about, somebody, you and your dad. Let's talk about you and your dad, how it started. You guys started going to game season tickets. Let's talk a little bit about that. And let's not forget, you work for my boy Paulie, or with my boy Paulie, La Piazza, delicious. You can't get better pizza and a meal there. It's just great in their 3 locations.
Well, you come see me. I'll be running around, and I'll serve you some great pizza. Paul knows what he's doing. He serves a great product. He interacts with the community of Merrick, especially in Long Beach and Plainview and in Melville.
So don't forget about Geno's, right? Gotta love Geno's.
He's a businessman that he is the entrepreneur of the business world. It's in his blood.
And of course, he couldn't make it today. He's so busy. He's
running 2-3 restaurants 4 times a day. He's always around. Yesterday, he calls me in on my vacation. He's sitting there cranking on his computer, thinking of wonderful things to improve our business. And like I said, he's learned a lot from him how to conduct myself in the business world in these days. So,
that's great. You got a good mentor. So let's talk about your passion, you and your dad. Let's get into that a little bit.
It started in '93. It started with one game. It just, and then
at least when the Yankees stunk. At least we could say you didn't jump on a wagon then.
I saw it. I saw, Roberto Kelly in center field, Hensley Mullins, Jesse Barfield, Steve Sack.
Isn't Hensley Mullins the guy who stole Jeter's glove?
Yeah, no, that was Rivera's cousin. Or the
all right.
Yeah,
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But Hensley Mullins, Jesse Barfield. You see all these guys, and that's what I started.
What a rocket Jesse Barfield.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a true Yankee, but
How
he had
about that
cannon.
5-year, $45 million contract he signed? That was the big time. Now what is that, chump change for? It's unreal how things have really came full circle.
So you and your dad got season tickets? Is that what happened?
Yeah, '93 we started with a Saturday playing in the old stadium. They used to put us right behind home plate. It was great. We'd drive in together. We listened to the fan, Mike and the man, all the way through. And it just, like I said, it's something that gave me something that I have that not too many people have, and I'm very lucky for that. You'll get a relationship with your father like that. And if I give my kids a quarter of what he's given me in my life, I feel like I succeeded because, it's at the end of the day, there's always that one person who's going to be there for you, or the 2 people in your life, like I've been fortunate enough. That's my mother and father. And
what about Paulie? Where's Paulie in the mix?
Is
he batting third, maybe?
He's right there. He's a 2A. We're right there. We're right there. We're right in the mix. But as far as being a parent, he's the closest thing.
And I did tell you, I always tell you all the time, I like your dad better than you.
Yeah, I would too. Listen, that guy has more charisma.
So give us some, moments. You and your dad are at the stadium. You started in '93, so you've seen them all. If you were at the game, give us the games that you were at that you were like those wow Yankee games.
I will give you my favorite moment. We were actually summer of '96, and Clemens was pitching for the Red Sox. We didn't have tickets this night. It was a Monday night, and we went outside and we scalped tickets. Now this is when you could scalp tickets for $50. You're sitting right in the front row, and so we went there, and by the 5th inning, I'm down in the front row. Everybody left. They gave me tickets, right in the front row for the 5th inning. And inside the dugout, I'm waving a 10-year-old kid. I'm waving in the dugout the whole time, waving at Jeter, the only one who acknowledged me, shaking his head, this and that. So I'm sitting in the front with my father. The 8th inning rolls around. Derek comes out into the on-deck circle with 2 bats. And I turned to my father and I said, wow, he's not going to use a donut. No batting weight or nothing. He's going to swing
donut
with 2
is the donut they put on the bat to make it a little heavier.
Okay.
And not everybody knows, Ryan.
Absolutely. And at the same time, when you were playing, it was like you can't get away from that stuff, So he walks over to me and he drops it between my legs. And I look up at him. I'm lost for words. My jaw drops to the ground. Next thing I know, security's coming up to me, telling me that I got to go check the bat in, to the Diamond Club and pick it up after the game.
Oh, I thought they were going to say you can't have the bat. Okay.
No, but,
okay.
And then my father.
Oh, right, because they don't do bat day anymore because they think somebody took a bat and thrown over that.
And it's but I remember that, and my jaw dropped. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know. I wanted to wake up. to be honest with you. And I slept with that bat for 4 weeks after. I'll tell you right now, that was better
Why
than
did you bring that bat today? See, that's the stuff I told you to bring.
That's the hook, so that maybe you could get me to come back on. I figured
Oh,
maybe
really?
work something out.
Is that what it
maybe
is?
we could work something out together. I thought maybe. But that was the highlight of my childhood.
Wow.
And, I mean, not too many kids get that. And the experience with someone like my father standing right next to me, I mean, what's better than that? I mean, it's summer, it's baseball, it's Yankee Red Sox, it's Derek Jeter. And I mean, for a kid 10 years old, I really don't think it gets better than that.
What are the games you've been to? Any other great games?
I also the 2001 World Series. There was they lasted in the ninth inning. They were down to 2 runs. And you got Brocious coming up. I remember almost hitting for the exits. I'm like, no, wait. And Brocious hits that home run after that, especially when that city was after 9/11 and everything.
Yeah.
It was just
Very good point.
and it's just such a
Very good point.
The mood in there, and the stadium was shaking, and just the joy and reluctance you got from the vibe from such a city that was so down at the time that you saw happiness. People didn't think of those terrible moments, and they were able to go and lose themselves. And that's what is sports, isn't it? I mean, generally, isn't that something we get away?
Well, that's what sports is, and that's what like going into your restaurant, La Piazza. I go in there, I want to have fun, I want to eat, I want to enjoy. It's the whole combination. And that's what you guys bring whenever I go into any of your locations. You guys are just always happy, always helpful. It's just a good atmosphere to eat, drink, and enjoy the food.
Well, the public is what keeps us going. So I mean, you know what? At any time, I feel that it's not easy at times working with the public, but at the same time, you just be yourself. And they'll like you for it. I mean, I don't go around saying I want to work. I just, you show up to work. You look at guys that go in, like a guy like that. You show up to work, and you do your job, and you smile. Right. And these people, they come in there. They're paying customers, yes, but also you build a bond with a certain one of them. Like I said, when I met you 10 years ago in that store, I was a little young 18-year-old kid wearing a tie.
Come in and buy all the autograph stuff, right?
And like I said, that's something we pride ourselves on over there, is the relationship that we have with the customers and how customer service is really supposed to be done.
It's excellent.
So
I want to let everyone know he brought in a gift certificate for La Piazza. So is this at any location?
That is just for the Merrick
location. For the Merrick location. So you can go on our Facebook page, and whoever answers what Ryan got from Derek Jeter when he was 10 years old. That's the question. So you got to watch the show, and if you go into Facebook and answer that's what he got. I'm not going to tell you what he got because you should have been watching 5 minutes ago. You will get this gift card to La Piazza. Again, it's amazing how quickly the show go. Of course, we got to thank our guest, Mike Paul. Let me tell you, the reputation doctor, that's the guy. I've been on many shows, whether it was on CNN or Fox Business and all different things, doing the same thing, talking about the marketing and what hurts the athlete. He was there to tell them how they could get back into where they were. The reputation, build them back up. That's how I know Mike. So Mike Paul, reputation doctor. Of course, Rampart Insurance Group for all your insurance needs. RampartInsuranceGroup.com. 388 Restaurant and Lounge, 388 Willis Avenue in Roslyn, New York. A1 VIP Entertainment for all your tickets and VIP meet and greet needs. And our newest sponsor, Easy Pawn, PAWN Corp. For anything you need. Again, you need money today, you want to sell, you don't want to sell, you want to see what it's worth, let's see what we can get cash on hand. And of course, the Daily Blue. Without the Daily Blue, we would not be here. And my buddy Ryan from La Piazza, we appreciate you coming in. I'm Larry Davis, Sports Biz with LD.
Sports Biz is sponsored by the Rampart Insurance Group for all your insurance needs. Special thanks to mintpros.com. Brought to you by the Daily Blue Network. Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.